Hi, I'm Angela Morton with the Recovery is Community NWPA Grant Project through the Rural Communities Opioid Response Program. Thanks for joining us for the next recording of Recovery Is, a show to bring awareness of substance use disorders, substance use issues, and reduce stigma in our area. So we're working to increase access to substance use treatment, prevention, and recovery supports for people who are struggling with substance use. And I'm here with two people who work on this project. Mandy Fauble is the Director of Clinical Care Services at UPMC Western Behavioral Health at Safe Harbor. And Hillary Palczer is a certified recovery specialist who also works for UPMC Western Behavioral Health at Safe Harbor. So thank you both for being here today and for sharing in some discussion about substance use.
Well, hi, Angela. It's great to be here. Thank you for creating an opportunity once again to talk about prevention, treatment, and recovery. And I think today's episode, it feels like is going to center a lot on the concept of recovery. So, Hillary, I noticed in the introduction, we have not heard yet what your role is here at Safe Harbor. So I'm wondering if you could tell us a little bit about your role.
Yeah, absolutely. My name's Hillary again. I'm a certified recovery specialist here at UPMC Western Behavioral Health at Safe Harbor. So pretty much my role is to help individuals who struggle with substance use disorder and kind of use my lived experience of being in recovery myself. Actually, this month on the 20th, I will celebrate 7 years of ongoing recovery from substance use. And yeah, I'm able to connect people to different services that they need, kind of meet them where they're at, from, being in active addiction all the way into helping them get to long-term recovery. It's really, really rewarding work that I do, and able to help, share kind of my experience of what I've been through and how I got to recovery myself.
It sounds really uplifting. And I saw Angela's face just lit up when you said that you are coming up on your 7-year anniversary. And that's great. I mean, more people need to talk about how recovery is real. And a lot of people live in recovery, but we're just not out there talking to one another about it. So you really never know when you're talking to someone where their path might have taken them. And you said that you use your lived experience to help people. And I'm wondering, can you talk a little bit more about what you mean by that when you say you use your own experiences to help other people?
Yeah, absolutely. For me, when I got in, when I first started, my addiction, it was really young. I had some experiences that happened to me. I had one of my best friends pass away, and I was 13 years old. And it really was a huge turning point in my life, where my mental health really started to go. And I struggled for many, many years after that. And I'm able to kind of share that it can happen to anybody. I came from a really good home. My father was in law enforcement. My mother was around, I grew up pretty well. And it's like something can happen in our lives that we don't expect, and it can really just take us, um, you know, on a road that we, really just didn't expect. And I always feel like I knew right from wrong growing up. I knew about, drugs, from my father and what not to do. And, I'm able to kind of show that, you can come from a place, of struggle. And like I said, throughout years, mental health was huge. I struggled with suicide, for a lot of years. And I'm able to come from a place of, being deep into that depression, anxiety, all the stuff that comes along with it, and show others that you can make it out. You can make it out from that. When a lot of people, they're afraid to ask for help. They're afraid to reach out and really not know where to go. So I'm able to help people get connected and get those sober supports and kind of work, in a recovery community, which it's out there. It's just something that's hard for people to find it. So, or the linkage.
Wow. Yeah, I'm hit just like with a ton of bricks with the idea of hope and how you sort of carry the beacon of hope for people and connection and connecting people to the recovery community. But I was really taken aback, I guess, when you started talking about, being 13 and having worked in the field for a long time. I do know that most people that have substance use concerns might also have a mental health concern and vice versa, right? They're very, very, very related. But you also talked about being so young. And I think that's something that, again, people that work in the field, we know. But I think for a lot of people out there, they don't realize that young people can also be really struggling with very, very big feelings. And, I'm wondering what your thoughts are on that. And if you want to share anything about kind of adolescents and teenagers and how important you might think it could be to pay attention at those years, or what you think we could be doing to help people who are going through such tough things and such grown-up things, at such young ages too.
Absolutely. And I think that was the biggest thing for me because I didn't know how to handle my emotions. I love both my parents, but we weren't in our household. We didn't really come to each other for our thoughts and feelings. They um, didn't really know how to process kind of what I was going through. We're in a household that we didn't really hug too much. We didn't really share those emotions, so it was hard for me to identify what I was feeling and what I was going through. And I was very good at, just stuffing those emotions down, not sharing, not really feeling like I could share with anyone. So I think it's just so important to ask, your kids at those ages, especially, like how they're doing, like I try to, just see what's going on if there is anything because I was a and pretty good kid that I was able to kind of put that mask on that everything was fine, nothing was going on with me, and just shove those emotions down, so you can appear to be this happy kid, like everything's fine, but really be struggling deep down. And that's when like I said, the depression, anxiety, I didn't really know at the time, what I was going through or what I was feeling until later on. Then I realized that's, what I was experiencing. I think it's just asking those questions, might be hard, might be uncomfortable, but really just digging deep to like, what's going on. You seem a little off, or even if you don't seem off, just the communication is huge. It's really,
And it sounds like you're saying like the real and authentic communication about what might be going on with
yeah.
someone. Um, I'm curious if it's okay to ask this question because I think that especially for women, the path between depression and anxiety or traumatic events like a sudden loss and substance use, we know that there's that connection. And you've had a lot of time to kind of think about your, journey into substance use and your journey back out. How do you sort of connect your mental health and the difficult experiences you had to like what about that propelled you towards substance use?
Okay. Like kind of how I got into substance use, you feel?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it really started about when I was 16. Everyone like kind of the teenagers, start drinking, and that was kind of like, I had like the first experience with that. I think just like on a weekend party. And that's where like it was like something in my brain was like, oh my gosh, like this is takes away all those pain, all that pain, all those feelings, it numbs everything. So it's like I really feel like the initial, I'm sorry, time that I experienced, alcohol, it did progress into other substances. But that was the first thing. It was like a light bulb went on in my brain, like, wow, I can numb this. I don't have to feel this, and like trying to escape those feelings, especially at a young age, you know, you're intrigued by that, and it, like I said, it progressed into other things after that. But that was the real main thing that kind of got me in.
Well, I hope as people are listening, they're really struck by how young it can happen for people that they do make that connection to how a substance may ease a lot of pain. And you described being able to sort of use it to numb the intense pain that you were feeling. And I'm just then thinking, gosh, you must have had to have so much courage when you started thinking about a path towards recovery to confront some of those things. That must have been incredibly painful just to kind of face all of that. You talked about stuffing things down and sort of numbing things. And I'm just, wondering, like, what were the things that helped you find that courage and that you found helpful?
Yeah. There's a, we could be here for a long time.
I know, I know.
You know, um, but yeah, there was so many things that happened throughout. I struggled with, like I said, mental health. I got into multiple, abusive relationships, had criminal involvement. I had children, and I got to a place right before I had some criminal involvement. And I remember when I was at, because my drug of choice was opiates, heroin. And I got to a place that where I was so physically dependent that I would withdraw and I would become ill. And I got to the place that I vividly remember sitting in my vehicle, having the substance in front of me, and just bawling my eyes out, saying that I did not want to use, but I knew I had to, or else I would have been sick. And I just felt at that point like, oh my gosh, I did not want to do this anymore. I did not want to live like that, to where I had to wake up every day and use a substance just to function, not even to feel anything. It just became to a point where I had to use it just to function, and just feeling that emotion of just crying, tears, that like I just did not want to do this. And like I said, I had some criminal involvement that occurred, and I was able to finally come to a place to get into recovery. And I think it was just like, those real raw emotions of like, I just did not want to live like this anymore. That's kind of how, like how it came to be.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you were willing to share so much with us. And I think even to hear that maybe being involved in the criminal justice system also in some ways might have provided an opportunity to enter recovery. We just don't know what that path's going to look like for people. It's all different things. It's all different types of experiences. And I'm so grateful that you are willing to inspire other people with your own story. I mean, I feel inspired. I'm sad that we don't have like 9 hours for me just to keep asking you questions. Angela, I know you might want to get in here with some additional thoughts or questions. I've been, sort of hoarding Hillary to myself here.
Well, I want to reiterate what Mandy said, that we're grateful that you're sharing your story. I know it's really personal, and maybe somebody's listening and can relate. And I'm just really glad that you did get to this place where you can be here and be with us and talk about it. And I'm sorry for all the pain that you went through, and it touched me to think of you going through that. And for how many people might be feeling that way, that it's not a matter of trying to feel good. It's to make the terrible feelings of withdrawal go away. So it may start as, this makes me feel good. This makes these feelings go away. This numbs all of those bad things. And that's often what drives people when people say, well, why'd you start in the first place? Well, I tried it and my brain said this feels good, which is especially risky in young people because their brains are still developing. So as soon as you change the very way that your brain works by using substances, it then becomes so dependent that you are in that kind of situation and in that kind of pain. And it's not as simple as people think, like, well, why don't you just stop? So I really appreciate that you shared that it's not that simple when you get to that place, that you can want to stop. And the reason we're here and talking about it is because we want people to feel comfortable. Let's reduce stigma and let's talk more about it so people can come forward, whether you're talking to a family member, a pastor, a clergy person at your church, a neighbor, a friend, a counselor, a 1-800 number that I'm going to share, that just to be able to talk about it and know that you're not alone and that it can happen to anybody and that people are there for you. So we appreciate you putting that personal perspective on it. And maybe somebody who's listening can relate and will take the courage to reach out and talk to somebody about what they're going through. You're very brave. Thank you for sharing with us.
Thank you. I appreciate it, of course.
Hillary, it does make me think, is there anything when Angela was saying, maybe someone's listening who they just needed to hear this? I mean, what would you offer or say to someone who maybe is struggling, to help them think about getting help?
I think it's just, being able to get the word out there and knowing that there is help and there's people willing to help, because I think, and having the conversation and talking about it, because like I said, when I was young, I didn't really know, so it's like there is hope out there and we're here, we're definitely willing, able. And I think it's just not being afraid, just not being afraid. And because I know there's a stigma, of course, around asking for help, and there's definitely barriers of why people don't reach out. But, being able to combat that, and it's more acceptable now. Like we're definitely, we're here and we do recover, you know. it's it's a thing.
It is a thing.
It's
It
a
is a
thing.
thing. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, I can't think of a better way to end, although I know Angela's going to make sure that she tells us that if anyone is inspired to think about getting help, we're going to make sure that they have the information on how to do that.
So you can either call your county drug and alcohol program and ask for a drug and alcohol assessment, or just explain that you're struggling and need somebody to talk to, and they can get you to the right place. And it just starts with a screening by phone that you can just ask some questions and talk to someone, and then it goes from there. Also, there's a national helpline through SAMHSA, which is the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, and that is 1-800-662-HELP, the letters HELP, or 4357, 1-800-662-HELP. That's for mental health and substance use concerns, and you just tell them where you are in the country, and they will give you resources in your county. You can also go to our project website, which is www.recoveryisnwpa.org. And we share training opportunities and some of our grant partners that we work with, and lots of other activities that we hope that you'll check out. So thanks for being here today. Thank you, Mandy, and thank you, Hillary. We appreciate you being here for Recovery Is.
Thank you, Hillary.
Yep, thank you, guys.